Cattle inventory is back in the news. We're going to talk Arkansas catfish and rice production here in the state right now on today's episode of the Arkansas AgCast.
You're listening to the Arkansas AgCast, where we discuss the latest news, trends, and issues impacting Arkansas farmers and ranchers. Our show is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau Federation and hosted by Jason Brown and John Nickman.
Yeah.
So I was telling John that one of my greatest achievements in life, that little opening read that I do every time, is completely ad lib, not really written, not rehearsed. I may try run through it once before we do, and that's honestly one of the probably the best things I do in my life. Every time I do it, I'm like, what happened? I just blacked out. And I'm not like bragging on myself. That's not saying much. It's just like,
can't believe I just did that.
Just spit that out. Don't stumble. It's a surprise I don't stumble over my words is really what I'm saying.
Well, you're good at it. You've had a lot of practice over the last 6 months.
So you're saying every time we start this show, you're truly shocked and amazed at
I
yourself.
literally am like, okay, well, we did that. And again, that's not brag. Anybody should be able to do that at any time. That's to say that that's one of the things that I do.
Well, he's not telling you how many times he says it sometimes before we actually start the podcast.
Well, that happens from time to time, but Brian helps us out on the editing front.
Yeah.
So,
it's like magic.
How are you guys? I feel like it's been a little bit since we were in here because we didn't do a regular show last week.
No.
We're at O&L the week before, which Brian wasn't able to join us for. Matthew filled in. So it's been a little bit since we've been back in the studio.
All four of us?
Oh,
man.
Boy. Don't know. Don't even have a guess.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, me, and Matthew were at O&L.
Yeah.
What about the week before that?
We might have been in here.
Maybe.
Yeah. But I don't know that Matthew was here. He's probably doing a video shoot or something.
Par for the course these days.
I want to acknowledge something. It is August what day is it? The 3rd? It feels nice in here.
It does.
What you're saying is you're glad we're not outside.
That's it. We for 7 months of this year we have griped about the temperature in this room, and I just want to acknowledge it feels nice.
I'm finally comfortable.
It's actually kind of normal in here today.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because it's so warm outside or if it's just regulated in here. I don't know what that is, but
it is
thankful
nice.
for it.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, anything going on with you guys? It's fun and exciting. I know you're running out of here.
Yeah, policy development season.
Yeah,
has kicked off, so we're going to Woodruff County at lunch today.
Okay,
and then just got back from the beach.
Yeah, how was that?
It was work.
Was it
not like work?
Right.
But just with a 10-month-old on the beach and
all that stuff.
Yeah,
you gotta haul out.
He has to have 2 naps a day, so you only get like maybe an hour at the most on the beach. And then you have to take him back. So much sand. I don't like sand.
Yeah, do y'all do
I'm not
like
here
the
to
little
complain.
kiddie pool? Like the little kiddie pool for them playing so they don't have sand all over them or whatever.
Yeah, we brought a little like blow-up kiddie pool to put on the beach there. He really liked that.
Yeah.
He didn't really know what to do with the waves and stuff. He just kind of...
Sure. Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
I've got sensory overload.
Yeah, I've got a video of our kiddo when the first time we took her, we were on the West Coast, but when that water came in and hit her feet, she's like,
yeah.
You know, she kind of freaked out and didn't know what to do. Of course, it's colder water out there. But,
yeah. But we ate good, had a good time.
Good. You know, look, here's the deal on the kiddie pool situation. When we were kids, they just threw us out there, man.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you had sunscreen on.
Yeah, I'll see you in a few hours. Don't come back inside.
Now my kids got long sleeve swimsuit, a hat, sunscreen, you know, all this stuff. It's like, man, they just chunked us out there. Hope you do fine.
It's probably where all these freckles I got come from.
Oh man. Anyway, is it a big production if you guys take the grandkids to some sort of water activity? Do you guys usually sort of a layer up?
Well,
whatever,
yeah.
You know?
I mean, usually that's on the parent. So we try to play that card.
Yeah.
But I can't say that we've ever really fully owned a water excursion or anything like that.
Okay. Well, that's good.
You know, we've met them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
well, stay in that role. If you can.
That's the plan.
Stay in
That's the plan.
In that lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
We've hit this magical place with our kiddo. She'll be 8 next month.
Yeah.
She can do her own sunscreen.
Oh.
So like they go to the pool and her summer care,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of her thing, getting ready in the morning. I'm like, man, that makes things a little easier.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
Anthony's not at that point at 10 months old yet.
Right. Well, but I would take her as a 10-month-old tomorrow, just because you miss that. Once it's gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
I miss that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
we enjoyed it. I'm sure he did too.
Oh, I bet.
They're saying
I
my
bet he'll
truck.
talk all about it in the next year or two. He'll tell you all about his
Remember
trip
that
this
time?
summer. Anyway, well, speaking of weather and outdoors and getting in the water, I think we're in the middle, if I heard correctly, of the 3 hottest days of the year.
Probably.
Yesterday, which would have been Wednesday, Thursday, today, and tomorrow, Friday. I think today's going to be hot. I think the actual temperature in Little Rock at least is going to be like 105. Heat index 115 plus.
Not my kind
It's
of
just
weather.
we have hit that point where anybody you run into is going to talk about the weather.
Yeah.
Totally.
So at this point, are we the closest to the sun as we're going to get all year?
I was having a conversation
we're talking
with
about?
a buddy of mine the other night about day length, and we are on the decline, right?
Mm-hmm.
July is the longest days that we'll see.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that sort of interacts with proximity to the sun.
I don't either.
I did go out and look at the supermoon the other night, though.
Did you?
The night of the 1st? Yeah, Tuesday night. Dude, that was cool. There's a lot of great pictures online. I was telling Matthew, as a photographer, there's another supermoon the last day of the month, and then in the middle there's supposed to be a meteor shower somewhere along the way. So
I'll have to check that out.
Very nice.
pretty
Well,
active
I
month.
read somewhere that right now
Uh-huh.
is going to be about the last time we'll be able to visibly see the rings of Jupiter,
Oh, interesting.
just because of the shift in the way the atmosphere is and everything.
Yeah.
So photographers are trying to, capitalize
See
on
that.
that right
Yeah.
now. So
That stuff is amazing to me.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of been into that kind of thing. Otherwise, in the weather, it is getting drier. And I want to give you credit. I've said this probably 10 times off air, but the last time we were in this room,
Yeah.
you said wettest. By the way, we had the wettest July on
Yeah.
record, but you said, I have a feeling, and it's not a good one,
Mm-hmm.
that we may be heading into a drought period.
I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, but I appreciate that. I've lived long enough to know that we're going to go through a drought at some point. And,
And I think
and it's hot. It's just I don't know the science behind it by any means,
Mhm.
but it's just you get some abnormal amount of rain like that. Eventually, it's just going to shut off. And last year, it shut off like June.
Yeah.
So and
And
we'll
then
speak
again in
about
October
it later.
yeah.
But
yeah.
I was looking at the drought map yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and what pasture land was at good or excellent this time last year
Mm-hmm.
was awful compared to now.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, this was the time where folks were starting to worry about that hay inventory.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk, like you said, we'll talk a little bit about that here today. But I did see there's some dry soil issues in the Delta. It looked to be about Phillips County north and sort of curving around back to the west. And then we're starting to see those drought conditions up in north central part of the state, Matthew's home area. Up there, so we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that. But I'll tell you something that was not dry, my friend.
What's that?
Yesterday, one of my favorite events in Far Bureau. The folks from Hempstead County
They brought
showed
us
up
some watermelon.
with a trailer full, and I did not get a picture. I wish I would have a trailer full of watermelons from Hempstead County.
Yeah, they did.
Boy, oh boy,
This guy over here offered to take a watermelon to my truck for me,
I did.
and he did.
I offered.
Now I feel like I'm
followed
in
through.
debt to him.
You are,
for doing
you
such a
know.
nice thing.
nobody brought me a watermelon.
Well,
That shows where you and I measure up with this guy here.
Mark Lambert said he was taking one to your truck. I don't know.
Well, I had to skip out early, so I
I
hate
did
that I
see
missed that,
one
but-
down in front of the HR
I know they brought all the ones that didn't get picked up down there, so we'll snag you one after this.
That would be nice.
Yeah, we'll get you one.
All right.
But man, I just love that. They're big smiling faces, the biggest chunks of watermelon you've ever seen, and then everybody. We don't have a chance to engage with the entire building very often, but everybody just out on the picnic table eating watermelon and chatting. I saw a couple folks. Names I'll leave out, having a watermelon seed spitting contest, and it was just...
I may or may not have been a part of that.
Are there photos or video of this anywhere?
I did not. But it was pretty fun.
Okay.
Jared was egging them on.
Yeah.
Did you go against Stanley?
I did.
Or had he already
I think
fallen out of the
I
bracket?
think Stanley was the focal point. I just so happened to jump in. And,
okay.
if we're going to compete...
Yeah.
I got to be there to represent.
So your trap
myself.
shoot group had a name. Would your seed spitting group
No,
have
we
a name,
didn't.
or-
We didn't get that far. I just kind of walked into it and was like, "Yeah, I'll jump in."
I'll hop into this competition.
Then, I beat him and then I left.
Well,
No rebuttals.
I certainly snagged one. We'll get Brian one. And they were, Hempstead County watermelons live up to their name.
They do.
I will say that.
I
Absolutely.
ate way too much yesterday.
So yeah, I did too. All right, well let's move on a little bit here. A few highlights from the crop progress report, and we're going to be a little bit abbreviated today for time. The theme of the crop quality report is decreased quality. That's just as simple as I can make it. So let's take a quick look. The Arkansas corn crop saw a drop of 10+% in the last couple of weeks, with just above half the crop now rated at good to excellent, and another quarter of the crop in the fair column. Cotton also took a 10+% hit in quality rating. Now it's around 65% good to excellent and 20% rated as fair. Peanuts also took a hit. Peanuts were the star of the show. They were at 90% good to excellent, but now at 75%. That being said, only 1% of that crop is in the very poor column. Rice, the exception to the rule here. Rice seems to actually have made an improvement since the last time we reported, with nearly 70% of the crop in good to excellent condition now. And just a note, today is the rice field day down in Stuttgart, so I bet they'll be talking about crop quality and challenges down there. Obviously, they'll be looking for some air conditioner when they can find it. And then that RMA listening session happening from 1 to 3 o'clock at the Rice Research Extension Center after that event. So anyway, if you're around Stuttgart, make time for that. And then moving on to soybeans, we continue the theme of lower quality over our last report, with just 60% of the crop now in the good to excellent column. We're hanging around that 5-year average for crop progress on beans, so that's a good sign, but the quality seems to be lagging a tad. And then finally, just putting these two things together this week, livestock and hay conditions just continue to struggle. We'll talk a little bit about cattle inventory, I think, next.
Yep.
But anyway, we just continue to see challenges there in a number of ways. All of these things seriously can be chalked up to weather for the most part. I haven't heard any of the big armyworm talk that we had in the last couple of years or anything like that. I think it's all probably weather.
Yeah, for the most part it is. Again, we've got a little bit more rain this summer than we did last summer, but it's still not great.
Yeah, I talked to a friend of mine last night, farmer in Iowa, and she said they were getting pretty crispy up there, and asked how things were here. And I was like, well, we can irrigate. Yeah. It just costs more money.
Yeah. So, talking to some people last week that sounded like they had every single well on the farm.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, coming back from the beach, I saw some corn that had been cut.
Oh, really?
Picked in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And I saw a bunch of beans that were turning already.
Really?
So
we're at 2% colored up on beans here in Arkansas. But I talked to maybe Jeremy Ross, but he had mentioned that they had already gotten into some corn in Mississippi and Louisiana, I think. Well, I bet it won't be long before.
He told us at O&L that, I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, that they had already cut some beans.
Maybe that was
in Louisiana.
Yeah. So anyway, all right, well, let's move on.
All right, going to the news now. So across the country, cattle inventory continues to fall. However, drought conditions have improved from last year. Monday, ag economist Bernd Nelson of American Farm Bureau published a detailed article regarding the declining U.S. cattle inventory. He also gave some insight on drought conditions across the country and how that compares to last year. Nelson sourced his information from USDA's July semi-annual cattle inventory report. Estimates from the report show all cattle and calves in the U.S. totaled 95.9 million head, which is down 3% compared to last year's July report. He notes that most analysts expected inventory to only be down 2.3% or 96.3 million head, so it's worse than what they had predicted.
Mm-hmm.
This is the lowest cattle and calves inventory since 2014, when inventory dropped to 95.7 million head. Also, which is a little bit more intriguing, is beef cattle were estimated at 29.4 million head, marking a 52-year low for beef cattle supplies in the country. The last time inventory levels were this low, the 5-market area average, which is includes Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, then Kansas, Nebraska, and then Iowa and Minnesota counted together.
Mm-hmm.
The 5-market area fed steer prices rose about 30% from July 2013 to July 2014. As of July 2023, the 5-market average is currently 184.21 hundredweight and is about 27% greater than 2022.
Wow.
And that sounds good, but Nelson reports that his numbers, these numbers seem high, but after adjusting for inflation over the last decade to be equivalent to that number or average price received in July, to be equivalent to that number, that price would have to jump to 203.51 hundredweight.
I see.
So as far as calf crop goes, it is down as well at 2% from July 2022, with a total estimated inventory of 33.8 million.
Okay.
But I found that pretty interesting. You know, the price has gone up because supply is down, right?
Mm-hmm.
But since inflation's so high and input costs are so expensive, that it's not even close to what they were getting in 2013 and 2014.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that is fascinating.
So
And
according
demand's up, too.
yeah, exactly.
All right.
According to USDA's report, all cattle and calves on feed are down to 11.2 million head, which is 2% drop from July 2022. However, placements of cattle into feedlots were up 3% from last year. Nelson notes that this may seem good, but not for the long term. Increased placements means farmers are not holding those cattle back for replacement purposes and will cause tightening of supplies later. And this is very similar to what Jake Cartwright predicted in our drought article last year.
I sent him a note the other day because one of the things that I'd read was that not only are there these cattle going to feedlots, but they're going greener.
Yeah.
They're still pretty green. And I asked him if he could pull together any insight or had any thoughts on that as well. So we might be able to pick that back up.
Yeah, I know he's working on something similar to that. So just to continue here, we got a little bit more left. Although drought conditions remain for the central Midwest, as you were saying, your buddy in Iowa, USDA reports that 44% of all pasture acres are in good to excellent condition. Compared to this time last year, that number was 22%. Of U.S. pastures were rated good to excellent. Due to improvement of drought conditions and better calf prices, Nelson believes farmers have more incentive to begin holding back cattle for breeding purposes rather than placing them on feed. This is evident by the 12% drop in slaughter cow numbers since July 2022, and the number of heifers and calves on feed was unchanged from June in the July cattle on feed report.
Right.
Nelson sees this as a sign that there is still more contraction in the industry and will likely continue through at least 2024. Before the cattle inventory can begin expanding again, farmers will have to start withholding heifers for replacements rather than placing them on feed. Until then, he expects to see heifers on feed decline compared to overall cattle on feed.
Okay. Interesting.
It's important to remember that the industry goes through contraction and expansion cycles, similar to a roller coaster. It's probably the easiest way I can picture it and describe it.
Yeah.
Although the industry has been in a contraction phase over the last 5 years, these low inventory numbers and high prices typically occur before an expansion in the industry. So when that happens, cattle supplies
What
grow.
goes down must go up.
Exactly. Cattle supplies grow, and we will eventually see a drop in prices.
Okay.
So we're talking about supply and demand here again, Jason.
Well, how about that? How about that?
Although inventory and slaughter numbers are down, demand for domestic beef has been strong. Per capita production is down only 1.5% since 2022 at 58 pounds per person. This is considerably impressive given that the average price of all uncooked ground beef is at a record level of $4.86 per pound.
Yeah.
So people are still buying beef, although we're at the highest price that it's probably ever been.
I know.
Per pound.
It's kind of crazy to see.
Internationally, countries such as Argentina and New Zealand are facing the same drought and production issues as we're seeing here at home. However, U.S. beef export sales are down 14% compared to last year's levels. The biggest drop in sales can be contributed to Japan and South Korea, but increased sales to Mexico and Canada have helped. Just to kind of sum this up, like I said earlier, what Jake Cartwright wrote in his article last summer concerning the drought, the industry is contracting. It will be another year or two at least before we see a reversal in this.
Well, that aligns exactly with what Jake said.
Yep.
He said we would be in that position for quite some time, and it seems like that's holding true with data points to back that up now. So that's really interesting.
So we're a year from the drought last year, pretty much to the date. We're seeing the conditions that we thought we were going to see, and we're probably going to continue to see this issue with pasture, hay production, as well as cattle inventory for the next year or two.
Well, we know we're seeing
get back
it
to where we were.
Well, I mean, we just reported from the crop quality report. We reported on poor conditions in both livestock and hay. And I'll be honest with you, these were the July numbers. Well, we just talked about, at least for Arkansas, having the wettest July on record.
Yeah.
I mean, what would be really interesting if August is a dry month? Where does this change? What happens here? So
we'll see.
It's all about the weather.
It is.
I mean, honestly. All right, we're going to take an early short break from the news to hear a reminder about keeping rural roads safe this time of year.
Arkansas farmers and ranchers work 7 days a week. That means when you hit the road, you may be sharing it with farm equipment, especially if you're traveling along rural roads and county highways. Farm equipment moves slower than our pickup trucks and minivans. They may not have the safety lights and turn signals of our family vehicles either. The trucks and tractors moving down the road need extra room to make turns, cross bridges, and move through intersections too. We all get in a hurry sometimes, but it's important that we all stay safe, no matter if we're headed to buy groceries or grow them. So next time you're cruising past a pasture or field, keep an eye out for farmers. They'll be sure to keep an eye out for you too. If we all work together, we can make sure Arkansas is cultivating safe roads.
It's so important that we work together to keep each other safe on the roads. This time of year, you may find yourself on the road with a farmer moving hay or moving large equipment, especially in rural Arkansas. Let's just all be sure to help one another cultivate safe roads. Now let's get back to the news.
All right, you're up again.
Me again. All right. So August is marked as Arkansas Catfish Month, and now there's a push for August to also become National Catfish Month. It was announced Tuesday that Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas has introduced a resolution that would establish August as National Catfish Month. According to the senator's news release, the resolution would recognize the contribution of catfish to the American economy and commends catfish farmers and workers. Senator Cotton was quoted saying, "With Arkansas producing the third most catfish in America, I'm proud to introduce this resolution recognizing August as National Catfish Month. We should celebrate this American classic that is important to both Arkansas and our country's economy." So given this news, as an economist, I thought it would be a good idea to highlight some
How's about that?
highlight some numbers that what catfish contributes to not only the country but to our state here.
Is it true or false you used to manage the catfish commodity here?
That is very true.
Okay, so we're talking from talking to an expert
It's
here.
been a while. I entered it as not an expert, and I probably left still not as an expert. Although I did enjoy
Complicated
it.
business.
It's a whole different beast.
Yeah,
So
no doubt.
So catfish is the largest U.S. aquaculture sector with the major producing states being Alabama, Arkansas, and Mississippi. As of July 1st, 2023, these states totaled 50,300 water surface acres of production, or the ponds that these catfish are kept in.
Okay.
Of that 50,300, Arkansas accounts for 3,400 acres.
Okay.
That's actually about 200 acres down from last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll go into note here later how much that's fallen over the last 50, 60 years.
Yeah. Wow.
In a 2019 survey funded by USDA, it was concluded that the catfish industry contributed for $1.91 billion to the U.S. economy in 2019.
Okay.
and accounted for 9,166 jobs across those 3 states that I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Also, Arkansas's catfish industry contributed $19.5 million to Arkansas's agricultural economy in 2021.
Nice.
It is also said that Arkansas is the birthplace of the commercial catfish industry, with at least 2 farms selling catfish as far back as 1950.
Oh, wow.
So by 1966, Arkansas had 4,500 acres in catfish production and 3 processing plants.
So we've lost about 1,000 acres.
We've lost about 1,000, and I'm pretty sure we don't have any processing plants here in the state anymore.
Yeah. Wow.
I think that's all moved over to Mississippi.
Tough business.
It is. It's a very difficult business that never stops,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot of hard, back-breaking labor,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's a very unique industry. I'll put it
Yeah.
that way.
Buddy, I went to college with a buddy whose dad was a catfish farmer in southeast Missouri. And man, the stories he would tell, the challenges they faced.
Yeah, they had a pretty good time. I guess that timeline of like early 80s, late 80s, early 90s
Mm-hmm.
was really like people were taking row crop ground out, putting
Yeah.
catfish ponds in, and then it reversed back at some point. And the guys you have in catfish now, at least in the state of Arkansas, they're very established.
Mm-hmm.
Roots are in the ground, and it's a
Do we see
small
new,
population of people that produce a large amount of catfish.
Do we see new catfish farmers? Is that a thing?
No, I think catfish farming is even harder to get into than it is just to get into row crop or even cattle. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to have a good amount of land. You've got to really manipulate that land to build those ponds, and you've got to have specific equipment that's not cheap and infrastructure to produce catfish. Yeah.
To do that. Okay. Well, good little bit about catfish. I bet I'll give you a 50-50 shot that you're having catfish for lunch.
I might. PD season's the barbecue and catfish tour.
That's what I mean.
So,
yeah.
We'll see.
Well, we'll see. All right. Well, the last story of the day comes from Mary Hightower at the UA Division of Ag and focuses on an interesting decision from India. As of July 20th, India has banned exports of non-basmati white rice. And according to the reporting, India has been consistently the largest exporter of rice for the last decade, averaging more than 21 million metric tons, or 40% of global rice exports in the last 2 marketing years. The non-basmati rice category represents 7 million metric tons of rice exported annually. The story says that there's no single country that could fulfill that export void voluntarily.
Wow.
Yeah. So according to Alvaro Duran Marat, associate professor and agricultural economist for the University of Arkansas System Division of Ag, the Indian government's action was driven by concerns, quote, for the food security situation of the population there, and also concerns about potential weather events that may actually result in lower production. Our own economist, Brandy Carroll, your teammate,
Yes,
spoke with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette earlier this week on what this could mean for Arkansas rice producers. In that conversation, Brandy predicted that farmers won't see much increase for their price for their crop, noting that supply of rice is forecasted to be up this year, supply and demand sounder, a point that we reported on with the most recent WASDE numbers a couple weeks ago. You can see the extent of Brandy's comments in the Demgaz this week. That story ran yesterday, so Wednesday, and we'll continue following the story as it develops, but certainly some interesting news from India.
What's the deal with basmati rice? Or what's the deal with non-basmati rice?
Well, they just say they want to hold on to some of it in case it's needed for their population. Now, if you read that story, it also talks to Jeff Rutledge, who's representing USA Rice there, and they talk about this sort of pattern and history of price manipulation from the Indian government, subsidies that go into their farm, things like this. So, I think there's a tad bit of skepticism, but one thing that you can't debate is this export ban. I mean, that certainly exists. So anyhow, we'll like I said, we'll keep an eye on that. But Brandy seemed to be fairly certain that this won't have a ton of impact for
That's good.
Our producers. So that wraps us up on the news for this week. I just wanted to know, what did you guys think when you went to see Barbie?
I haven't seen it.
I thought
I did not know.
I thought I might get you.
Yeah, I didn't think you were going to go there. So. Wow.
No, really. You know, we had the, what do they call it? The Barbenheimer
Yeah.
opening last
Right.
Friday.
Yep.
Did y'all go? Obviously.
haven't seen either
Okay,
one
so
of
you
them
say
yet.
you didn't see. Did you see either?
I haven't seen Oppenheimer
Okay,
either.
okay, yeah.
But I want to.
Oh, I thought I'd try and catch you guys off guard. So.
No, I haven't seen either one of them.
Successful, sir.
Anyway, well, there we go. You always bring some kind of pop culture or something.
Well, you know,
into
it's been a
it, so-
while.
Yeah.
It is.
So I've been holding a few back.
Okay.
But,
Well, good.
ironically, this week is all about some branding.
Oh, okay.
So
I like it.
wanted to see some of our popular cultural items if you know some of the origin story. So we'll
Okay.
find out.
Oh.
We'll find out how well you know some of that. But
Okay. I'm in.
all right, first one.
This seems incredibly obscure, by the way.
It is highly.
Probably nothing easy like Oreos. Or
Yeah,
anything.
no.
Close.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew.
Okay.
What was the original slogan for Mountain Dew?
It wasn't do
Tap
to
the
do, was it?
mountains. That may have
It
been.
was neither of those.
Okay. Do the do, you said?
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah. I don't know.
You're going to cringe when I tell you, but
Okay.
and there's no way you would have guessed it. I don't think,
Okay.
unless you're just a huge Mountain Dew fan. But
Yeah.
Yahoo Mountain Dew, it'll tickle your innards.
No, I
How
wouldn't have
old
guessed
is
that.
Mountain Dew? That's the next question. I thought
Yeah.
it was like, you
It's
know,
pretty old, I thought.
my age.
Yeah, it's pretty old. If you look at some of the cans, like
Yeah.
the designs of the cans,
Mhm.
it's very old. But yeah, I never would have guessed that one.
Don't they have that like kind of iconic hillbilly type character on it? Yeah.
Well, they went from that to the extreme sport sort of. My
Or I
grand-
should say moonshiner.
No, but I did see a meme about that recently.
That's one of my
for the
favorite
mountains.
jokes, by the way. One of my favorite comedians is Brian Regan,
Yeah.
and he said, "Have you ever watched that show, Shiners, like Moonshiners?
Mhm,
Yeah, you got these guys out in the woods. They're like, wow, we're making shine.
yeah,
Last time I checked, moonshine is legal.
yeah. Go down here and buy it. I think.
Yeah, he's
So
hilarious.
That's pretty funny. My grandfather used to pour a 3/4 glass of unsweet tea and top it off with Mountain Dew.
Okay,
Kind of weird. I don't know
Well-
what that was about. Oh, he would eat anything, man. There was no holds barred.
not the weirdest I've heard, but
Yeah.
that's in that
Up
category,
there.
I guess.
Yeah.
All right, continuing on the soft drink theme.
Okay.
What was the soft drink Pepsi originally introduced as?
Medication.
That was on brand for back then.
Let's.
But I think
what
you're
was
going
the
for a
name?
name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what was
Oh,
it
the
originally
name.
named?
But
But it may have been medication.
I don't know.
I don't.
Again, I don't think you'll get this one
Yeah.
either.
Okay.
Brad's drink.
Brad's drink.
No, I wouldn't have got
Interesting.
that.
No.
So,
No
No.
chance.
and our favorite search engine, at least most popular these days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Everyone, it's turned into Kleenex. But
Yeah, it's a verb.
what was the original name for the search engine Google?
Did they buy out Ask Jeeves and then?
No, but I was
Google?
wondering if it was web crawler.
No.
No, Ask Jeeves is also
Was that the
Good.
first one I can remember?
Good
Yeah.
guess.
yeah. I don't know.
Back rub.
No, I wouldn't have.
Talk about some branding missteps, I'll say. Back rub.
That's where I was going with all three of them. Like,
Hey,
I
would
need
you
to
back
know.
rub that? How do we get to
Well, I back rubbed this
Yeah.
information.
How do we get to Memphis? Back rub it.
I'm gonna search this. I'm gonna search this topic for a while. It's gonna take a while. Give me a back rub.
Yeah. Oh boy. Speaking of brands and becoming, parts of speech like a verb or whatever. Geez, to X.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean, what a mess. I think that will make this in 30, 40 years, that will make this exact line of questioning. I think.
Entirely it will.
Yeah.
Entirely it will.
Gosh, what a
I
mess.
guarantee you. That the very, like within 15 minutes of it being announced, someone had done that Photoshop of the Planet of the Apes with the bird on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I found that and just died laughing. I'm like, that is perfect.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Oh, it's been quite the saga, and we've talked about it before. But goodness gracious,
There's not a quiet moment with
no,
Oh,
Mr.
no.
Elon.
Oh, no.
no. I think he thinks he knows what he's doing.
Have you seen the video that's out there with the blinking X on top of the building?
Before it went away.
No, it's before it went away.
Yeah.
It was blinking, and someone's convinced it's Morse code, you know, and they're trying to decipher what that is. If you read the comments on now X, if you read all those,
Oh, I'll go look that up.
hilarious, hilarious.
They're like saying, "Oh, if it was Morse code, it would be saying this."
Not
just kind of
one guy was like, I studied Morse code. I was in the military, and he gives this long explanation why he's the expert. And then he says, this is what it's saying. And when you get to the bottom, it's just rubbish. It's so funny. I just died laughing. People are funny.
Yeah. Oh, people. The internet is hilarious. I'll tell you that. Well, I know we got to get you on the road.
Yeah. I gotta
We just cut out one bathroom's break worth of extra time for you.
Yeah.
For your drive.
I'm going to have to go straight to the truck.
All right. Well, that wraps up the news for this week. Thanks for following along with the Arkansas AgCast. We're grateful for you taking the time to watch and or listen.
Remember, you can catch new episodes of the show every Thursday afternoon. Find video episodes on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the audio version on iTunes or Spotify. And make sure you subscribe and leave us a review when you have a few extra minutes.
That's right. And always remember, the Arkansas AgCast is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau. I'm Jason Brown.
And I'm John McMinn.
And we'll see you next week.